Hello guys, you're welcome back to this demo, and today what we're going to be looking at is how to reset our forgotten password in Spring Security. So this is a common scenario that happens to us every now and then on the internet. Sometimes we forget our password and we request for a password reset, and whereby a link will send to us, and we follow the link and we enter a new password to reset our password. So that is what we're going to look at in this simple demo of today. Actually, this video, some of my subscribers actually requested for this video based on the one we created where we send verification emails to user. So this one here, we're actually going to implement this functionality on top of that very demo we did some weeks ago. So if you have not watched that video, I really encourage you to watch that video. I'm going to drop the link of that video below this very video we're creating right now. That video actually talks about the complete user registration system, whereby a user can actually register and receive a verification email. So after that verification email, after the email has been verified by the user, then the user will be able to log in. That was the video we created last time. So some of you guys actually requested for this very video here, how to reset a forgotten password in Spring Security. So that is what we're going to see in this little demo. So for that, I'm just going to go to IntelliJ and come here. So I'm going to create a new package inside this registration package. I'm just going to right click here and create a new package, and I'm going to call this package password. Yeah, I'm going to call this password and enter. Now in this password, I'm going to create a couple of classes here. The first one I'm going to create is it's going to be called password reset request. Sorry, password. Oh my gosh. So this one is called password request. It is password. I was supposed to be here, right? Password request. Reset request. So that is going to be the name of this very class here. And the next one we're going to create is password reset token. So I'm going to right click on the password package and create another class. And this one is going to be called password reset token. Password reset token. And another class I'm going to create is the password reset token repository. So for that, I'm just going to copy this name of this class and right click on the password package. And I'm going to paste this here. And what I'm just going to do here is to add repository here. Repository. So this one is password reset repository. Password reset token repository. And this one is going to be an interface, right? We're going to come back to all this later. Then the very last one I'm going to create here is the service, password reset token service. So I'm going to right click again and create another class. I'm going to paste this here and just add service here. Service. Okay. So these are the four main classes we'll be working with to complete this very functionality we're about to create. So the first one I'm going to do here is to open up this password reset token class and actually see what we got inside. So this very class here is going to be similar to what we've done before. This one here, you know, last time, if you remember the last one we created, the last video, we have a token verification, right? A verification token class. So this one is going to be exactly the same. So for that, I'm going to copy everything we got here. And just copy and go back to this class here and paste it here. Yeah, so I'm just going to paste this here. And the only thing I'm just going to do here is to change the constructor. So here I'm just going to change the name of the constructor, and I'm going to change these two, right? So these are the things we just need to do here. Yeah, and also I'm going to go back to this class here and because this one is going to be an entity in our database, so I'm just going to copy all these two and paste them here, the annotations. And so everything is just like the same with the verification token class, right? So this one is the password reset token, and this one is going to be a table in our database. A new table is going to be created in our database. And also the expiration time is going to be here. Everything is pretty the same, right? So now I think we are done with this very class. We've done with this class. So the next one we're going to do here is to create our password request service, password reset request. This one here. So this one here, we're going to have a couple of fields here. So this one, I'm going to have like the email, and the password, right? So we'll have private string email, and we're going to have the password. So we're going to have the password, word password. Let me say, I want to call this one new password. So I'm going to call this new password, right? And the next one here, I'm going to call it confirm password, right? Private string confirm. Is that correct spell of confirm? Confirm password. So these are the three fields we're going to need here. So, and we're just going to need the getter and the setter and some other things. So we're just going to use the data annotation of Lombok. So we are done with this, and also we are done with this. Now let me close this one down because we don't need it here. So the next thing we're going to do is to go to our service class. So this service class we're going to create. Where is it here? This one here. Let me close this class. So I'm going to go to our service class. Excuse me. So this service class here, we're going to create a couple of methods here that we're going to use later, right? So the first one we're going to do here is to create a method that we actually create a new password, reset password for user, right? So a reset password token for user. So what I'm just going to do here is the first thing I'm going to do is to create this method. So I'm just going to call this one public void create, or maybe generate. I'm just going to call this one generate or create password reset. I always miss this E here. Damn. Reset password reset token. Create password reset token for user. And what we're going to need here, we're going to need the object of the user. We're going to need, please make sure this user is coming from our own object. Here, this user. Wait, let's go. So we'll call this one user, and also we're going to have the token, which is the password token that's going to be generated for us. That is, this method is the method that we're going to save this token to the database for the user, right? So have string password token. And I think I'm going to zoom this out a little bit. It's getting bigger, and I'm going to close this a little bit. Okay, cool. So this is what we need, and we are going to import this user here. This user is, make sure we are importing our own user from our own class, right? Because we have a couple of users here from other libraries. So this one is coming from our own user-defined object. So now what we're just going to do here, we are going to find this token, right? We're going to find this token if this token actually exists in database, right? So if this token, Okay, so having done this, we're just going to create a new we're going to create a new object of the password reset token here to actually give us a new token to be saved into the database, right? So for that, we're just going to say password reset token equals new password reset token here, this one here. And now I'm going to pass in the user. We're going to pass in the user and the password and the token, right? So I have the user and the token here. And after this, terminates required provider string, required user string, provider string. Okay, wait. Provided user string, required string. Okay, so we're going to flip this. So we're going to, this was password token, and this one is going to be the user, right? It's going to be the user, and after this, we're just going to call the password repository, the password reset token repository, to actually save this to the database. So for that, we're going to need the object of the password reset, of the password reset token repository, right? And this one here, we're just going to call this one token repository too, or maybe we might need it somewhere. We're going to call it the full name so it will be recognized easily. And this one we're going to inject. And for that, we're going to have a Lombok annotation whereby we can inject this one through constructor injection, right? So I'm just going to do act required act constructor. And before I forget, this one is a service class, so we're just going to say at service here. Okay, so now we're just going to call this guy here to actually save this token for the user to the database. Password reset token repository dot okay, we have not implemented this, so let's actually implement this so we can get access to the free CRUD. So here we're going to say extend JPA, extend the JPA repository as usual, and this one here is going to be password reset token, and I think the ID is long, right? Type long, right? Let me verify. Yes, it's correct. Here, password reset token. Yeah, the ID is long. Okay, so this is all we need to do here. This is all we need to do here, right? Excuse me, please. And now I'm just going to close this down. I'm going to close this down, the repository, and we're going to go back to here and actually save the password reset token for the user, right? So now this is what we have here, and the second method we're going to create here is a method to actually validate this token, right? And for this we have a similar method somewhere that was doing this job, right? So what we're just going to do here is to copy this method, the same method last time we used. So let's go to the user service here. So we have this registration token validation method here. So we are still going to make use of this here, but for this demo we're just going to copy this. But actually in the real life scenario, in the industrial standard, we don't need to copy and paste all this in different places. When we have a block of a block of code that is used more than 2 places or more than 1 place, then we have to actually create a separate we have to dedicate that method or to a separate class or a separate utility that can actually serve in different places. But for this purpose, for this demo purpose, we're just going to copy and paste it here, just for us to actually focus on on the functionality we'll try to implement, right? So now I'm going to just name this method here a string. It's a string method, and this one is going to be validate. I would say password reset token validator, right? I just call it the same name that we used last time. Validate password reset token. So this one, we're just going to call it this name, and we're going to take the string, which is the token that is being passed by the user. So here we're going to say the token. We're just going to call this one the token. The token. And now I'm going to paste the code I just copied from the other side, because it's the same thing we're actually doing. Now the only thing I'm going to do here is to change this one here to our password reset token, this one here. So I'm going to change this here. So for that, I'm just going to copy this and come back here. So I'm going to change this, and I'm going to change this to this here, to token repository, the password reset token repository. I think this name is too long. I will find a means to shorten this name. Yeah, password reset token repository. Maybe it should be like that. Now I'm going to, oh sorry, I copied that method here. So I'm just going to remove this, and also I'm going to remove these two here because we don't need it here. Okay, so this is what we need. Now, for now, we're going to create this method in our password repository, right? In our password reset repository. So we're going to create this method find by token there. Okay, so this one is just going to be here, find by token. Now let's actually go back here and finish up with this. This here. Okay. This one. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to change some things here. If so, password reset token equals token. So actually we're actually finding we're finding this one here is to validate the token, right? So which means when an email is sent to the user, and the user click on that link to reset the password, the token is going to be validated if that token is valid or not. So for that purpose, we're going to actually find. That is why we created this method here, to find by token, right? Because this method here, we've already gotten this token saved in our database. So when a user is clicking a link to reset a password, it should have a valid, that user should have a valid token, right? So that token is what we're going to verify here, right? So we're just going to say here, if that token is none, if that token cannot be found in the database, so we're just going to say invalid password reset token, right? So we're just going to say invalid password reset token. If this token is found here, if the token is found, then we're going to get the user out of that. We're going to check if that token actually is with a user, right? So after that, we're going to validate the expiration time of that token, right? So if that token has expired, we're just going to return this message. Else, if that token is valid, we're going to return this valid, just like what we've done in the previous video, right? So I'm just going to remove this message from here to make it shorter. So here we're just okay, invalid. So here we're just going to say invalid. We're going to say the link has expired. Yeah, so the link already expired. So we're just going to say, so if the link has expired, we're just going to say the link already expired. So we're just going to write here, for example, we're supposed to return a link from here. If we have a form, just a link that we enable the user to resend the token. just like we did in the registration, the verification code, to just like we did when we resend the verification code to the user, right? So now we're just going to say resend link, right? So that is what we need here. If you have not watched those videos that we've did before, I actually encourage you to watch them so that you can actually understand how we got to this place, right? The video is there right present in my channel right here, and I'm going to leave the links below so that you can actually check those videos out, right? Now the next one we're going to do, the next method we're going to do here, we've created two methods, right? So the next method we're going to create here is a method to actually we're going to find a user by password token, because if a user actually requested for a password reset and sent a token, so we're going to check that token if that user is actually tied to that token, right? So for that, I'm going to create another method here, public. So this one is going to be kind of optional, right? So here I say optional user, and this one here I'm going to call this one find user. We're just going to say find user by password token. Find user by password token, and we're going to pass in the token that is embedded in the link, right? So here we have password token. Okay, so what we're just going to do here is to return. So here we're going to return optional. This one here, we'll return this one here, and because the user might be, so just to avoid no point exception, so that we're making it option, right? So the user might be, the token might contain a user or not. So here we have find by token, which is the method we created last time inside that our repository, right? So here we're just going to get the password here, the password token, right? And here we're going to get the user out of the token here. So this one we're going to get the user out of the token, right? So we just say .get user. Okay, it's good. All right. So right here we're actually this method is to find a user by password token. We're going to make use of all this method later, right? So I'm just trying to create all these ones in our service class so that we can actually reference them later. We're going to see how they can be used later, right? So now this method is actually to find a user. When a user requested for password reset, we're going to actually check that token if we can find a user attached to that token, if that token is valid, so to speak. Okay, so I think these are the method we actually need here right now in our service class, right? So I'm going to close this down, and so the next thing we're going to do is to come back to the registration controller here. So right here, I'm going to create a new endpoint here. We're going to create a new endpoint here that where the user can actually request for password reset, right? So for that, I'm going to create a new method. So we're going to say public string. This one I'm going to call it reset password request. Password request, reset password request. Sorry, this one is single W. Right here we're going to have we're going to need the password reset request we created last time, this one here, and we're just going to call it password reset request. This name is funny, right? Now this one is going to be, we're going to request the body, so we're just going to say at request body here, and then we're going to let me do this. I'm going to just put a braces here, and also here we're going to need the HTTP request, right? So here I'm going to just break it down here, and I'm going to have this here, HTTP servlet request. So we're going to say request. So this one here is the one to get us the link, right? The server name and so on and so forth. That's actually the link we're going to send to the user. I'm just going to make this one final for some reasons, and after that we're going to find the user, right? We're going to find the user by email. So the user that is sending this request, that's sending the request. So we're going to actually get the user. The first thing we're going to do is to get that user, right? So what we're just going to do here is to create another user, like just say user equals user service dot find by email, and we're going to pass this request request password reset request dot get email here. So this one here we're going to call dot get email. So now after getting this, now we're going to check what happened here. Okay, this one is okay, it's optional because this method is an optional method right here. Okay, so now we're going to check if the user is present. So if the user is present, then we're going to generate a new, we're going to generate the password verification token to embed in the link that we're going to be sending to the user. So what we're just going to do here, we're going to check if the user is present, right? So here, if user dot is present, if the user is present here, so what we're just going to do is to generate a new password token, right? So we just say string password token equals UH dot random dot to string here. So here we are generating a new token when the user click on the link, right? So we're going to verify if that user actually exists in our database by getting the user here. So after getting the user, if the user is present, then we're going to generate a new token which will serve as the password verification token for the user to actually verify. Right now, to actually verify the user, to actually this token here, not verify, sorry. So this token here, we generate this token to actually save. We save this token for the user, right? So that the user can actually reset the password. So the next thing we're going to do, we're just going to call the user service here. To actually save, to actually create the new token. So now we're going to make use of the method we created right last time in the password reset token service. So for that, I'm just going to say dot create user service dot create password reset token for user, and then we're going to pass in the user here and the token that the password reset token that we've gotten from here, right? And so this one here, I'm just going to end it here. Then after this, so now before we do any other thing, let's create this method in our. So let's get it from the interface, from the user service here, and I'm going to remove this here. Let me remove this here, right? And now let's go back to our user service to actually implement this class. Implement this method. So now I'm just going to say this and implement the method here, which is this one here. So this one I'm just going to call, last time we created the method right here in this repository here. So what we're going to do here is to get a reference to our password reset token repository. So for that we're going to have it here. So we're going to inject this password reset token service, this one here, right? And this one we'll just call it the same thing, and we're going to inject it through constructor. So we'll have definer, we'll put definer here so that it can be injected through this annotation here from Lombok. So what we're just going to do here is to call this here password, this one here, dot create, right? And here we just pass in the user and the token, the password token. So that is all we need to do here, right? And okay, cool. Here, so you see that this method has been highlighted because we are making use of it here in our user service, right? So now let's go back to our registration controller. Now, after we have done this, we have actually saved this user to the database, right? So the next we're going to do just like what we did last time when we send verification email, right, to the user. So after saving this, so we're going to actually send the link. We're going to send the link to the user email that the user will click to actually reset the password, because this one is the request. So the user is requesting to reset his password. So then when the user requests to reset the password, so we're going to create a token, a password reset token for that user. Then we're going to save that token to the database, which is the one we created here, right? So the method we created here. So we're going to save that token to the database here. No, not here, here. You see that we're having a repository for that password reset token, and we are actually saving that token to the database for the user. So, and this one is done when the user hit on the request, when the user give a request to reset the password. So then we're going to generate the token and save to the database for the user. This one here is, okay, it's optional. So we're just going to say .get here. Yeah. And after this, we're going to create the link that we're going to send to the user, right? So for that, I'm just going to, let's go up here. I'm going to create a local variable here called, so string, I'm going to call this one password reset URL, right? And this one, we're just going to initialize it to empty string here. And then let's come back here and actually build the link that we are going to send to the user, right? So now I'm just going to say password reset URL. So we're going to build a link and assign to this variable we just created. So for that, we're going to create a method that will actually send the link, that will actually send this link, right? The method that will return the link, so to speak. Sorry. So here we have password reset. We're going to call this one here password reset email link, right? Because this is the link we're going to send to the user email, right? This is the email we're going to send. So here we're going to include the user here, right? So we're going to include the user here, and then we're going to have the application URL. Last time we created an application URL somewhere, right? This one here. So we're going to make use of this here, application URL, and we're going to pass in the request, which is the servlet request here. We're going to pass in here, which is the request, And I think I'm going to zoom this out a little bit. It's going out of screen. I hope we can see this. Then after that, we're going to take the password, not the password, the token we've just generated, right, which is the password. Sorry, is the password token, which is the password request token here, password reset token, which is this one here, we just generated here, right? I think I'm going to change its name to password reset token. Password reset token. So let's try to name our variables according to what they are doing, right? So now I'm going to just terminate this, and the next thing we're going to do is to return this URL here. So here we're going to return this password reset URL, right? And now we're going to create this method. So now we're going to create this method here that we actually where we can actually build this link that we're going to send for the user. So for that, I'm just going to create here a private method that is taking the user and the application URL and the password, sorry, not the password, the token, the password reset token, right? So now what we're just going to do here is to go back to the email. Remember last time we created, let's go to the event. So this is the event that was actually sending the email, right? So what we're just going to do here is I'm going to copy this. I'm going to copy this link here and go back here and paste it here. So I'm going to paste this here, and this one I'm going to change to the password reset token, right? And this one here I'm going to use this URL directly. So I'm just going to copy this and remove this and put it here, right? And excuse me, actually we have something similar here. We have it here already. So what I'm just going to do here is I think it's better I'm going to need this one too, so I'm just going to copy this too as well, so we can actually log this one in our console to see actually the URL we're sending to the user. So I'm going to paste this here. Now I'm going to change this. If you look here, if we go back to our listener, I've created a copy of this password reset verification email. It's just something, it's same thing with this. This is the registration verification email we send, the template we send, right? So what I did, I just copied this and pasted it here, then I changed the name. And I changed this one, instead of email verification, I changed the subject to password reset request verification, right? It's all the same thing. So I just changed the message to password message instead of registration message. So that was what I did here. So now I'm going to actually call this guy here to send the email from here. So instead of sending verification email, we're going to send password verification email, which is this one here. That's what we're going to send. And now we're going to throw the exception here, right? And we're going to come back here and also throw the exception here. So this is what we need to do here. So for this, I'm going to change the right up here. So we're going to say click the link to reset your password, because this one here is no longer email verification. So this one is reset your password. Click the link to reset your password. So that is what we got here. I think that is all what we need. And number two, we are going to change this one here, because if you look at this one here, this one is the email verification, right? But now we're going to change this to the endpoint we created. This endpoint here, this one here, No, we've not created this. So we're going to create this. So now we're going to create a change it to reset. Reset. We're going to call this one reset password, because that is the link. Yeah, reset password, because this is the link that will be coming when the user requests, when user issue a request to reset the password. We're going to send a link, right? So when user click on the link, we're going to create this method that will actually do the password reset job, right, for the user. So that is what we got here. So now I think this is all we need here. So here we're just going to return. We're going to return the URL. Return URL here. So that is what we need here. So this is all about this. Now, before we move further, let's cross check. So this one is register, which is this one here. We have here register here our request mapping, and we are going to create this endpoint. We're going to create this endpoint inside the registered request mapping, inside the registered controller, and we're going to have this one as a parameter, which is the password reset token that we've generated for the user to actually confirm the user request, right? So now, before we move on, let's finish up with this method. So this one is going to be at post. This one is going to be at post mapping, and this one here, we're just going to call this password reset request. So here we're going to say password reset request here. So that is the name we're going to call this method here, this endpoint here, right? I think this is all we need to request for the user to request for the password reset. So let me explain this again, this method. So what this method does was that when the user forgot his password, maybe the user just like what we've seen every time on the internet, right, in any application. So if the user wants to reset the password, he's going to click on forget password, right? So when the user click on forgot password, the link forgot password in the form, and that forgot password is going to take that user here. It's going to link to this very endpoint. Now we're going to create, when we receive this request, when the applicator receives the request to reset the password. So when the user, the application is going to create, we're going to get the user, right? So we're going to find that user, if actually by email, if actually that user is actually existent in our database, right? So we're going to find the email. So when the email is found, which means when the user is found, we're going to, here when the user is found, we're going to actually generate a new password reset token for that user. So now that token is what, after generating that token, we're going to save it into the database against the user, right? And now, after saving to the database against the user, we're going to generate a link to send to the user email, right? So when that user click on that link, then that link is going to take the user to this very method we're going to create right now, this very endpoint we're going to create right now. So this is the endpoint that we actually do the password reset job, right? So now, having said that, we're going to create excuse me. So now we're going to actually create this very endpoint here to do this job here. So for that, I'm going to go down here and create that endpoint to actually reset the user password, right? Okay. So for that, we're going to have another method here. Public string is going to be a string method too. We're going to restore string. So now this one here we're going to call reset password. Reset password. So this one we're going to call reset password. And here we're going to also request the body, which is the password reset request. And we're going to call this one also password reset request. And also this one is going to be a request body, right? Which is, now the reason why we're requesting the body, because the user has to enter new passwords that is going to save. So we are going to, so that is what we're going to request from this body here right now, right? So here we're going to say at request body. And now we're going to request the token too, because we'll be requesting two things from the user. So here we're going to have at request param, which is going to be the token request param, and this one is going to be the token that is generated, that is embedded with this link, which is this token here that is embedded with this link here. So we're going to request for this token, and we're going to request for the new password that the user is going to impute in the form, right? So now we're just going to say this as token. So this one is going to be, we're going to say this as token, and we're going to have the string token here, right? Okay. Sorry guys, it's not supposed to be here. Okay, so now after getting this, now we're going to validate after receiving this token here. So we're going to validate the token, right? I'm just going to call this one password. Though it doesn't, I'm just trying to name this token because we have token in different places, right? So I'm just going to name this token according to the job they are doing, according to the type of token they are, right? Okay, cool. So now this is the password reset token. So after receiving this token, we're going to verify, we're going to validate the token if actually the token is valid, right? So for that, we're going to create another method in our user service class. So now I'm just going to say string token verification, token validation, validation results. So we're going to actually validate this token, and the result will depends on our next procedure, right? So here I'm just going to say user service dot validate. This method is not in existence in our database. Sorry, this method is not currently in our user service, but we're going to create it in a moment. So we're just going to say dot validate password reset token dot validate password reset token, and we're going to pass the token, the password reset token, to be validated, right? So before we go further, we're going to actually create this method. We're going to create this method in our user service class. So here we go from the interface, which is actually implemented here, and now we go back to the user service class to actually implement this method. So I'm going to click on user Windows. I'm going to click on Alt Insert to actually implement this method here. Cool. So now we're going to return, we have this method already in our token service, token password reset token service, right? We already have this one here. So we're just going to return this, like return password reset token service dot validate token. So we're going to pass in the password reset token here. So that is all we need to do here to actually validate this token. So now let's go back to our user service. And now after the validation, so the result is going to determine what we're going to do next, right? So now I'm just going to say we're going to check if the token, we're going to check this result, this string, because this result here is going to return a string. If we go back to our token service, where is the validation here? So this is the validate password reset token, right? So this token, the last, if the token is valid, it's going to return this string here. So we're going to check for this string. So if this string is gotten as valid, it means the token is valid, right? So that is what we're going to do here. So now we're going to say if token validation results dot, so we're going to actually get the string dot ignore case. So we're going to have, just like we did last time, right? In the verification, in the registration verification token we sent the last time, we've gotten that already. So that is the same thing we're doing here right now. So if this one is valid, or we're going to flip this here, if this one is not valid, then we're going to return. We're just going to return invalid token, invalid password reset token, right? So here we're going to return a string called invalid password reset and token. So if the result is not valid, then we're going to return invalid password reset token. We're going to stop here, right? So now, but if that is not the case, if the result is valid, so we're going to create a user. We're going to find a user. We're going to find that user by the token in our database, right? So now what we're just going to do here is to have user equals user service dot find user by token, right? Dot find user. We're going to call this about find user. This method is not in existence in our user service, but we're going to create it in a moment, right? So find user by password token. So that's what we're going to put here, and here we're going to pass in the password token that the user has the user has brought, right? Here, this password token here that the user has brought to the table. So here we're going to find the user with this token, which means we are finding this token to actually make sure that we try to extract the user from this token, right? So now, before we go forward, we're going to implement this method. In here, let's go through our repository as usual, user service as usual, and now let's go back here to actually implement this method here. You see, these are the method we created last time in our password reset token service. So we're just going to do this, and now we're going to return this password, this service here dot find user by password token. So we're going to pass in here the password token, and I think this one is optional, right? So we're just going to have we're finding user, so we're going to have that get here to, because it's optional, right? So we're just going to make this one here like this, and now excuse me, and now what we're going to do next is to go back to our, are we in good shape here? So yeah, I think we are in order. Password reset token service. Okay, let's move on. So now let's go back to our registration controller to actually continue with the process. So now we're going to check if this user is valid, if the user is found, right? So here we're just going to say if user is not known. So here, if user not equal none, if the user is not known, so we're going to continue. So we're going to actually reset the password for the user. So here we're going to create another method in the user service that will actually reset the password for the user. So now we're just going to say if the user is found. So we're going to say user service dot reset user service dot reset user password. So we're just going to call this one here, and now here we're going to pass in this user and the password request, the password reset request, and we're going to get the new password that the user is going to enter here. We'll get the new password from here. So what we just need is the new password, right? Now, having done this, we're going to return a message to the user. If everything went well, we're going to return a message to the user that things have gone successfully, right? So just okay, password has been, doesn't mean we just put any message that be reset successfully, right? So say okay, password has been reset successfully, or else. So if the result is not valid, we're just going to return an invalid message to the user. Just so we're going to say return invalid password, invalid password reset token. So we're going to end this here. Okay, I think we're in good shape. So the last thing we're going to do here is to, maybe not the last thing, it's not the last. So the next thing we're going to do here is to, actually, this one is going to be a post mapping as well, and we're going to name this. So now that is where we're going to make use of this endpoint, this URL we created last time, right? So I'm just going to copy this to make sure we name it exactly what we've done. So here I'm going to just paste it here. You see, so now when the user, this one here, let's get a quick recap of this. So when the user actually click on forget password, so that link forget password is going to take the user here, right? So the user is going to request, that link is going to come here to request for a password reset for that user. And what we are taking for that user is the email. So we're going to find that email in our database if that user actually exists in our database. Now, if that user is found, we're going to create a new token, password reset token for that user, right? And after creating that token, we're going to save that token in this token table, in the password reset token table, which is this one here. Where is it? We created last time, this one here, this very one here. So this one is an entity in our database, right? Remember. So now, when the user is gotten, we're going to generate a new token for the user and save that user to the database. And when the user is saved to the database, we're going to generate a link and send to the user email, right? To actually verify the email if he's the one that sent that request. So it's actually verify the email, which is the registered email, and click on that link. So you're going to see this link there. And when the user click on that link that says reset your password, and that link is going to take the user down here to this very endpoint that will actually reset the password for the user. And now, what is this endpoint? What is this method requesting from the user? This method here is requesting for the token, the verification token, the password request token. The password reset request token that we've generated for the user. And also, this method is actually going to request for the new password that the user is going to change, right? So it's going to reset. So the user is going to enter a new password here. And now, last time we actually have 2 feeds here, right? We have 2 feeds. Where is it? Down here we have the new password and the confirmation. This confirmation. So this one, I'm just going to ignore this. We can actually confirm this from the endpoint, from the front end, right? If they are equal, stuff like that. But we're not going to be focusing on this right now. We're just going to focus on this new password because that is what is important. That's what we actually looking at to change for the user, right? So now what we're going to do here is to create this method in the user service class. So we're going to take it to the interface with the user service interface, and now we're going to go back to the user service and actually implement this method that we actually do the user reset job, right? So now I'm going to implement this method here. Yeah. So now here we're actually going to implement this method here. So we're just going to do here is to actually take this user here and encode the new password. So user.set password, right? Dot set yeah, the set password. So here we're going to just call the password encoder dot encode, right? And now we're going to take the new password, encode the new password, right? And after that, we're going to actually save the user back to the database, which means saving the changed password back to the database, right? So for that, we're going to have the user repository here, the user repository dot save user dot save, and this one here we're going to pass in the user, right? Cool. Okay, so this is all we need here to actually reset the user password. Don't forget that the link, the complete link to my Git repository for you to get all this code is down below this video. So you follow the video, follow the link below, and download this project code and actually go through this code step by step so you can actually understand it better, right? And also, if you have not watched the previous video we created where we send the email verification to the user and what we resend the verification registration verification to the user, if you've not watched those videos, I actually encourage you to watch those videos, right? So that you can actually understand what we did in the past before we got to this very point we are right now. Because you can see that we are just creating this functionality on top of what we've done before, right? So it's important that you actually watch those videos so that you can actually understand what we did right to this point. Okay, so now I think it's time for us to test our demo, to test our project, right? To test our functionality. Before we do that, let's cross check. This one here actually send the message, and this one here actually reset the password, right? Okay, so we're good to go. So let me verify our property. I'm going to close all tabs, so let me clear this arena, our workspace. So now let me go back to our property to see, okay, here it's created. So we're going to recreate the user. We're going to recreate our table, right? Everything. Okay, so now let's actually test run our project. So I'm going to hit on the play button and actually test out the functionality we've created. So here we see that our project has started running. Our project has started successfully, and a new table has been created: verification token, a password reset token. Let's go back to our SQL workbench and refresh our database and see if the new table is created for us. So I think this one should have gone right. Okay, cool, gone, and this one's gone too. Okay, so let's refresh and see. Okay, cool. So we've gotten a new table called password reset token with the user ID and this and this and that, right? Okay, so now let's create a new user. So I'm going to go to Postman. So we're going to create this user. This is the user we'll be using to test, right? So now, please make sure you enter a valid email where you can verify your email, right? Because that is what we did last time. So now I'm going to hit on this registered user to actually register a new user. It's taking long. Okay, cool. Eventually, we actually have a success message. So now let's go back to our table, our database, and actually verify if a user has been created. Cool. So now we have gotten a new user has been created, right? And the verification token also has been generated for us. So let's quickly go to our email to actually verify this. Let's open up our email to verify this message. Okay, I should have opened this before. I forgot. Okay, cool. So this is our email, and we see here that we've gotten. It's still loading, right? My network is slow. Okay, so here we have. okay, we have a verification email here, and this email was sent a minute ago. Really, it means it must have expired now. Okay, we set our expiration time to 5 minutes, right? So let's verify. Okay, cool. So now we are able to verify our email successfully, our user successfully. So now let's go back to the database to see our user. So let's refresh after verification. So now our user has been enabled. So now we can log in, right? So now let me go to Postman. Let's go back to Postman, and actually we're going to get the user. So this is the API. This is the API will lock down, right? We'll lock this one down. So for that, we're going to go to our browser and actually try to log in. Let's log in to our system here to actually access all users. So now if I click on this, it's going to ask us to log in because we actually lock it down to only users with access of user or admin. So those are the previous videos we created before. So it's better you actually watch those videos so you can actually understand. So now let's go back here. I'm going to copy this user email as the username, and let's go back to the browser to actually log in. So here I'm going to paste this here, and remember the user password was 123456, right? Here 123456, this one here, this is the user's password, and that is what we're going to use to log in right now. So now I'm going to enter 123456 and log in. So here we are able to log in, and now we've gotten the user, the only user we have in the database, we have gotten here after logging in. So now what I'm going to do here, so let's try to reset our password. So let's assume I forgot my password. So now here, this is the collection for our project, right? So, and all this one here are the functionality we have in that project, right? So now I'm going to click on reset email here, reset password, sorry, not reset email. So now the reset password, actually we're going to, like what we've implemented here. So what we not just need to do here is the email. We're going to enter the email so that we can actually find the user in our database, right? As we've implemented before, right? So now we entered our email, right? Remember this link here actually, when you see here, this is request password request, reset request. Sorry, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm getting confused myself. Now let me take you back to what we've just done here, to our user controller here. So this request here, so let's assume that the user has hit on that button that says forget password. And if the user click on that button that says forget password, the user is going to be directed here. The user is going to be directed to a form, normally to a form in the front end, where the user will be requested to enter his email or their email, right? So after entering the email, he's going to click on send. So when the user click on send, so the system is going to find the user in our database if that user exists, right? So if that email exists, it's going to send a verification link, is going to send for the user, which is this link here. You can see that right now we got a verification link. And if we go to our email, we're going to see that a password reset email has been sent to us. So here, let's go back to our email, and we see we received one message. So let's open up the message. So now we see that this one here is different from the message we just the other one, right? So this one here, we see password reset request verification. It's different from the email verification we done last time, right? Now, if we go here, this is the message. If we go back to here, if we go back here and see the message, sorry, this video is getting too long because I'm getting a bit too slow. So now this is the subject here, right? The subject here we set for this email, this password reset email we customize. So that is the message we are seeing here right now in the browser in our email here, password resets. Let me zoom it in a little bit so you can actually see. Oh, this one is too much. So here we see password reset request verification, right? So if we actually click on this, you see here, reset your password, right? But right now, if we click on this, we don't have any endpoints that we configure to actually do that, right? We don't have any form, because now this link is actually taking us to a form whereby we're going to enter the new password that we're going to reset. But we don't have anything like that. We don't have any form like that. So what we're just going to do here is to go back to Postman to actually copy. We're going to copy this link here. We're going to do this through Postman, right? So we're going to copy this link. And here we're going to go to our request password. And I'm going to replace this here. I'm going to remove this and replace it with the link that we've just sent, right? And one thing I forgot to show you here is that if we go to our database, now let's go to our reset password and refresh. So we'll see that a token has been generated for the user with user number 1. A password reset token has been generated for the user. And if you look at this token here, 788. And if we go to Postman here, that is what we got, 788. So now that is the token we've gotten from the, what is it? From here, reset password, right? And now this request password, this method is actually requesting for the token and the new password, right? That is what we've done here. If I may take you back, sorry, I'm taking you back up front. I'm sorry for that. So if I may take you back to our user controller, this reset password here, this one here, is actually requesting for the token request param and actually requesting for the body. And what we want in the body is the new password, right? So that is what we're going to, that's what we are setting here right now. So that is what we are setting in Postman. So now we are changing our password from 123456 to 1234. So now let me hit on this and see what we got. You see password, we see a message here that says password has been reset successfully, right? Password has been reset successfully. And that was the message. And that was the message we said that if everything went well, we should get this message here, right? Which means the user was found and the password was found and the password was successfully reset. So now let's go back to our database to verify. So this one here, let's go back to the user. So we see that if we look at our user, we see that the old password starts from 8FEB, right? 8FEB. Now let's try to refresh our password. Remember, the old one starts from 8FEB. Now let's refresh. So here we have a new password with, instead of 8FEB, we now have YN.FW. So which means our password has been changed. Now, for us to confirm that our password has been changed, let's go back to our browser to try to log in. So now, last time we were able to log in with 123456, right? So now I want to open a new incognito. Right here. And the same thing, I'm going to copy, let's just say, okay, let me enter HTTP with the user here. I'm going to try to access the user. So now we are asked to log in. So now I'm going to just log in with the user email, right? Which is this one here. Remember, that is the email of the user. If we go back to our database, this is the email, the user email, right? In the Postman, there's the user email, right? This email here. So for you to be sure, I'm going to copy. Here. Sorry, I'm slow. Sorry. My mouse is malfunctioning. Now I'm going to go back to let's go back to the browser, and you see it's the same thing, but I'm just going to, for verification purposes, I'm going to paste this one here. So now let's try to log in with 123456, which is the old password. So here we see bad credentials, right? So now let's try to log in with the new password we change, which is 1234, right? So let's try to log in here. So we see that we are able to log in with our new password, right? Because we changed our password. We changed our password from 12 restart. So we changed our password from 123456 to 1234. And that was what we are able, that is what we use to log into our system here right now, right? Cool. So, which means the goal of this demo has been met, right? The goal of this demo has been met. So now we are able to reset the user password after the verification token, after the verification email was sent, the user was able to actually verify the password, reset request, and our system was actually to reset the user password. So this actually brings us to the end of today's demo. Thank you so much for coming. Please, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please don't forget to do that, because that is one of the way you can help me support my channel and actually encourage me to do more. Please subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to like my videos, and don't forget to actually share my videos with your friends. Thank you so much for coming. And like I said, if you have not watched the other videos we created where we send verification email to the user, and when we also resend a verification token to the user, if you have not watched this video, I really encourage you to watch this video. And those links I'm going to leave below the comment section. And actually, if you have any comments, don't forget to put it down. And also, if you have any requests for any video for me to create, and don't forget, and don't hesitate to do that. Just put any comment below, and then subscribe to my channel. And thank you so much for coming, and hope to see you in our subsequent video. Thank you and goodbye.